The Golden State Warriors entered the summer as potentially one of the NBA's most active teams with regards to both the trade and free agent markets, but to this point it's been all quiet on their particular Western Conference front. Golden State has yet to add any players to the roster by any means, and the only move the organization has made is to extend a $8 million qualifying offer to restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga for the 2025-26 campaign so as to retain the right to match any offer he might receive from a competing franchise in free agency. The only other roster movement has been the departure of three-time champion center Kevin Looney, who inked a 2-year deal to join the New Orleans Pelicans. The Warriors have been in the mix for former Boston Celtics forward/center Al Horford since before free agency officially began on June 30th, though the fact that he hasn't inked a deal with the team more than a week later is potentially disconcerting news for the Dubs offseason. A league source said Monday that Horford is taking his time while assessing offers from multiple teams, but added that the 39-year-old is considering retirement, too. Adam Himmelsbach of the Boston Globe reported on July 7th. If Horford chooses to retire or go elsewhere to play his 19th season, the Warriors may have to turn to an alternative option. One possibility is Kevin Love, recently of the Miami Heat and now a member of the Utah Jazz, following a 3-team trade Monday that also included the Los Angeles Clippers. Kevin Love doesn't make sense in Utah, but could fit nicely as reserve with Golden State. Utah is a bastion for young players the Jazz hope to develop and seem all but destined to finish last in a Western Conference that is likely to see up to 12 or 13 teams attempt to make the playoffs and/or play-in tournament next season. In other words, it's no place for a soon-to-be 37-year-old former champion and 5-time All-Star nearing the end of what is probably a Hall of Fame career. League insider Kevin Fisher confirmed that notion via X following Monday's trade. Kevin Love is certainly a buyout candidate in Utah, Fisher wrote. Love has 1 season remaining on his 2-year, $8 million contract and currently carries a base salary of $4.15 million for 2025-26. Kevin Love can add shooting, floor spacing, rebounding to Warriors' reserve lineups. Golden State has plenty of cap space to add Love without worrying about its ability to ink Horford, particularly following a buyout, and such an acquisition makes sense in the Bay Area whether Horford ends up on the roster or not. Aside from small ball center Draymond Green, who is the size of a small forward, the only 2 centers on the Warriors roster are now Tracy Jackson-Davis and Quinton Post. Green and Jimmy Butler III will occupy the top 2 spots on the depth chart at power forward if Kuminga ends up elsewhere, and all 3 of them are relatively small for that position. Love hasn't been a regular starter since 2020-21. That said, he shoots the three-pointer at a 37% clip for his career on nearly 5 attempts per game. Offensively, at least, he can fill a reserve regular season role as a floor-spacing big in Golden State. Love is also still a solid rebounder, particularly given the minutes he plays. He averages 10 rebounds per game for his career and averaged 6.1 and 4.1 rebounds per contest over the last 2 seasons on 16.8 and 10.9 minutes per night, respectively. It has been an underwhelming offseason thus far for the Golden State Warriors, as they have yet to make any moves in free agency. Golden State entered the summer looking to upgrade their roster around their star trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, but that has not been the case thus far. The only moves the Warriors have made this offseason was during the NBA draft, where they selected Alex Tui and Will Richard in the 2nd round. Of course, the Warriors are still awaiting a decision by restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga, as he could elect to be moved via a sign-and trade. Due to this, Golden State has waited to sign any other players in free agency, as they have missed out on some key names and also saw Kevin Looney depart to the New Orleans Pelicans, further hurting their center position. With their lack of moves this summer, Bleacher Report's Greg Swartz gave them an F free agency grade. So far, the 2025-26 Golden State Warriors project to look remarkably similar to the group that ended the 2024-25 season, Swartz wrote. The Jonathan Kuminga situation is far from settled. The center position is worse with Looney leaving for the New Orleans Pelicans, and a lot of the best veteran minimum-level guys have already signed elsewhere. If Golden State can sign Al Horford and sign and trade Kuminga for other players/picks, this could still be a good offseason. For now, the Warriors have done nothing to earn anything but a failing grade. Swartz makes a great point about how the Warriors could turn their offseason into a solid one once Kuminga makes his decision, and if they are able to sign some other players in free agency. While that may be the case, Golden State has missed out on some key players they've been linked to thus far, and they are running out of options to upgrade their roster and chase a championship next season. As the Golden State Warriors' free agency remains stagnant, their roster still maintains a glaring hole at the position of center, and before the offseason ends, it is an absolute necessity that they fill that positional need. While they have been heavily rumored to be approaching a deal with veteran center Al Horford, a long-rumored and more expensive trade target, Lauri Markkanen, may have become available given the Utah Jazz's recent moves, opening up a surprising option for the franchise this offseason. Although the financial details of acquiring Markkanen would be exceedingly complex, he would be a game-changing acquisition for Golden State, and news of his availability should excite fans. Lauri Markkanen's availability could alter the Warriors' offseason plans. The Jazz, who finished an abysmal 17-65 and were last place in the Western Conference last season, received the 5th overall pick in the draft and selecting controversial forward Ace Bailey to add to their budding young core. However, as the team continues to flesh out its roster, a series of recent trades have signaled their intention to again enter into a full rebuild. Just before the start of free agency, the Jazz traded young guard Colin Sexton to the Charlotte Hornets in exchange for Jusuf Nurkic and a 2030 second-round pick. Moreover, they recently completed a 3-team deal that sent John Collins to the Los Angeles Clippers and resulted in Utah receiving Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a 2027 second-round pick. By selling low on both of these players, the Jazz have moved with definite intention to secure their cap flexibility and hold on to their ample draft capital, and as it appears they are ready to trade away their veterans, it is a real possibility that Markkanen could be on the move next. Markkanen, who averaged 19 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 1.5 assists last season after signing a 5-year, $240 million contract extension with the Jazz, would be highly coveted by teams around the league despite his significant cost. Last offseason, Golden State was linked to Markkanen all the way up until he signed his extension and became ineligible to become traded last season. While the Warriors' situation has changed somewhat with the arrival of Jimmy Butler, their biggest need remains the same, and given the franchise's apparent willingness to do what it takes to win another championship in their current window, it would not be surprising if they were in on Markkanen again this time around.